Okay, let's go. I'm just saying that, we already have some good number of people waiting for us. And, we are going now for our activities live. So a very, very good evening to everybody, my friends. Today, we are going to discuss on fundamentals of transcription and translation and subtitling. Okay, so today with us we have on our panel three interns. One is Margaret, another one is Shubhangi, and the third one is Vinita, who is not able to be visible for the fact that her internet connectivity is low. But she is connected with us and she will be helping us understand certain issues and how things go, wrong or positive when we are into doing transcription business. So my friends, we also have with us a very senior professor and well-wisher of our activities, Dr. Kirat from Morocco. She is holding a variety of doctoral programs in language, culture, and society, and very enthusiastic and promoter of language learning and community learning programs. She is a well-known scholar. We are very happy to see her here with us. She will talk more about her own activities when she talks to you. But before I enter into our main discussion for today, I would like to say hello to everybody who is watching us today at YouTube channel, and I would request them all to please share this link and video in social media so that more number of people would come and watch and participate in our activities. It is very important, project for today because transcription and subtitling itself, is a dilemma for good number of translators, language professionals, for the fact that they do not get to learn about all these things, especially in the classroom. So now today, considering this gap and need of such kind of lecture and training programs, we finally decided to go live and do webinar on this topic. And our intern, Margaret, has already done some transcription activities for our channel and some videos. So she already has a good experience in this field. Similarly, today we already have initiated, certain exercises in which Shubhangi has participated and she has submitted her assignment as quickly as possible. Same thing Vinita has done, but there are certain flaws in her activities because she was not able to understand instructions well. So it becomes a good case for us to study today how your not understanding of instructions can put you in a trouble zone. Although she is not in a trouble zone, but if it was a deadline, a professional activity, some minister waiting for the transcription, some movie to be released, online on a certain period of time, and you not doing the activity properly could result in, a disaster, which we call it professional disaster for you. We will understand how we can prevent this, number one, and we will also understand how, when there is some crisis of this kind, to tackle it, right? So there is always, some solution to everything. I would like to again, welcome everybody, on this panel, especially Margaret, Dr. Kirat, as well as Shubhangi and Vinita. And I would also like to welcome all our friends who are watching us on YouTube channel. I have already given you a brief introduction about what we plan to do it today. We also discussed in our yesterday's, discussion about today's plan, but I will just give you a little brief about it again so that those who have not been there, they could understand it. Friends, today we are going to discuss fundamentals of transcription and subtitling. But before we enter into subtitling, we will also understand the importance of translation. Because transcription, translation, and subtitling, they are interwoven and interlinked, and we cannot separate them, number one. Today, we will also discuss certain problems that we face while doing transcription, as well as while doing translation, as well as subtitling. Remember, when we are doing translation from one language to another, there is always a loss of message, and at times there is a gain of message. So many times translators produce better content than what the original writer has done, or many times they produce disaster than whatever writer has done. There are a variety of theories related to it. You bring translator to the writer, or you bring translator writer to the crowd, to the reader. So this kind of theory is already going on since ages and years, but we need to maintain a balance between the original content, translation, transcription, subtitling. Of course, when we are talking about transcription, when we have not been given instructions that we need to produce only summary or a verbatim, it means that we have to produce transcription word to word, but of course maintaining the sense. And when we are talking about translation, if your transcription is done correctly, it becomes easy for you to do translation. And once the translation is done, the only thing that is left for subtitling is technical aspect of it, how to put it on the channel of YouTube, or how to integrate it in the video. So with certain technical understanding, that translation that you have done out of transcription can be easily integrated in the subtitle or captions, and that is how it is. So with this, my friend, I would again like to welcome you all for today's webinar. And those people who are watching us on YouTube channel, I would request them again to please share this video, talk to everybody, share with everybody, because this kind of program or training is not available currently in Indian context, as well as many times in global context as well. So let's make use of this, because our intern Margaret, Shubhangi, Vinita has prepared it very well. And we have with us our distinguished guest and mentor, Dr. Kirat, who is going to guide us in this direction. I welcome Margaret to please start the proceedings for the day. Thank you.
Yes, hello. So are you going to share the presentation? Or?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So hello, I'm Margaret. I have a master's degree in linguistics and translation that I obtained in 2017. And in these last 3 years, I've been teaching mostly French and Italian to foreigners. And I have also translated, especially mostly content for the internet and literature. So as Mr. Ravi Kumar said, I also translated some videos for Modlingua's YouTube channel. And I also had previous experience, especially as a volunteer. So that's why I'm going to talk to you about transcription and subtitling. So I cannot see the presentation.
I'm seeing it now.
Okay. Yes. So yes, I will be talking about what is transcription, what is subtitling, and I will give you some tips to create high quality captions and subtitles. So captions are a word-to-word transcription of the video's spoken dialogue. It means that we cannot change the original audio of the video. We just have to stick with the original audio. We cannot omit things, we cannot add things, and we cannot change things, even though we don't like them. As transcription is mostly created for deaf and hard of hearing individuals, they also include background noises and other important audio information that allow the viewer to understand the video without sound. So, for instance, we can hear, we can read music or sounds of any type, like if someone is knocking on a door or if something is falling, we can read those kind of sounds. So I cannot see the presentation anymore. Sorry. Yes. So we can move to the other slide. Thank you. So transcription is a process by which we listen to the audio of a video and transcribe it in a written format. So it means that the audio and the transcription share the same language. So for instance, if the audio is in Hindi, then the transcription is going to be in Hindi as well. And we can have two different kinds of transcription, which are full verbatim and non-verbatim. Full verbatim contains every word and sound of the nonverbal communication. So as I said before, every kind of sound or noise. And the non-verbatim excludes the unnecessary speech to make one's transcript more readable. So for instance, we can avoid repetitions or interjections and all the background noises. We can go ahead, yes. So I will share with you some tips for transcribing. Of course, there are tips especially to create a transcription in a faster and easier way. So regarding the writing itself of the transcription, well, we have to remember to save regularly what we have written if we don't want to lose what we have done so far. Thank you. Then we have to transcribe as precise as possible. So as I said before, we cannot correct the video. If there is a mistake in the audio, we have to transcribe it as we hear it, and we cannot modify the text. Also, we need to pay attention to details because as it's a written form, we can spot easier mistakes. So we have to pay attention on numbers, addresses, dates, and all this kind of information that can be easily mistaken. Then we can make a quick reference of shorthand for recurring things. For instance, if we are translating a film and there are characters that are always like saying similar things or calling the same people, we can create a shorthand for those names or even for anything. Like, for instance, if I created a transcription for the one of the video I translated for Modlingua, the one on IDA model, I would have created a shorthand for IDA model so that I don't have to type it all over again all the time. And it is very important to reread our text and correct the mistakes and the typos, because in these cases, often we have mistakes and typos. So it's very important to reread. And of course, we can use some tools that can help us be quicker. For instance, we can use fine-tune audio quality thanks to some editing program. We can reduce the background noise or boost the volume. So if a video is not really understandable, we can do those things in order to understand what the person who is talking is saying. And thanks to this, we can prevent to just rewind every time. And we can also use autocorrect to transcribe speaker labels. So we don't waste time in correcting all the typos that we make while we are transcribing. So now we can talk about subtitling. So subtitles are a translated version of the transcription of the video. So this is the first difference that we can see between a transcription and a subtitle, because the transcription, as I said, it's in the same language of the audio, but the subtitle is a translated version of the transcription. So for instance, if the video is originally in English, I can create subtitles in other languages. For instance, I don't know, in Italian, in French, in Hindi, or whatever. They are normally intended for viewers who do not speak the language of the video, so mostly for foreigners. But sometimes they are also created for hard of hearing and deaf individuals. So in those cases, they contain also all the background noises. Whereas if it's only intended for foreigners, they don't need to have all this additional information. So since subtitling is a kind of audiovisual translation with its own rules, we can call it a subordinate translation. It has restriction of time and space which affect the final result. So it means that, of course, the subtitle has to stick with the image, with the amount of time the person is talking, and with the space, because we usually find the subtitles at the bottom of a screen and in the center of a screen. So we need to think about this when we are creating the subtitles. Yes. So another big difference between transcription and translation is that if transcription is a word-for-word writing of the audio, it's not the same for subtitles, because here we have to use a simple language. Word-for-word translation has to be avoided, and the more you summarize the concepts, the better, even though you have to pay attention because you cannot mislead the meaning or omit important words. We just have to summarize because, of course, if the subtitle is short, it takes less time to read. So it's better if we are watching a video, but we cannot change things. That's why we also have to respect the speaker style. This means that if, for instance, the person who is talking has a very formal way of speaking, we have to respect that and recreate a translation who has also a formal tone. If the person in the video is using bad words, well, we have to use bad words as well in the translation. We cannot just omit them because we don't like bad words, for instance. We have really to respect that. And we have to avoid to translate repetitions. So for instance, if a person speaking is saying several times, no, 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 we can maybe write it down only once or twice so that we spare space. And we can also avoid translating interjections like oh, ha, because it's unnecessary and it just take time to read and it's a bit useless. Also, for a better reading, every subtitle should contain a single complete sentence. This means that the sentence into a subtitle must be or should be grammatically independent. So the subject, the verb, and possibly the direct object should be in the same subtitles, because then it's hard for the viewer to understand the whole sentence if it's separated. Also, every line should be 35 letters long for a maximum of 70 letters, punctuation and spaces included. If really cannot respect the 35 letters rule, we can add a maximum of 5 letters for 40 letters long, but it's better if we stick with the 35 letters rule, of course. Then you should have a maximum of 2 lines per subtitle. So you cannot create subtitles that have 3, 4, 5 lines, 1, maximum 2. And since the human eye, for the human eye is better to read shorter sentences, maybe we can also create 2 lines even if the sentence is not that long. It's better to use shorter words where we can. So if we can use a synonym that is shorter, it's better. We have this many times in Italian, because Italian has very long words, but we can find synonym. And if 2 lines of unequal length are used, the upper line should be shorter to keep most of the image free, because it's better. Since we are watching a video, we also want to see the image, of course. But since we are talking about subtitles, we have to respect rules when translating, but also with timing, because a subtitle is sticking with the image. So we have to be aware that between 2 subtitles, there should be a pause of at least 0.2 seconds. We have to keep in mind that a human eye can read around 3 words per second, so we cannot put more words than that into 1 second. The maximum length of a subtitle is 4 seconds for 1 line and 6 seconds for 2 lines. And the minimum length of a subtitle is 1 second. So even if we have only 1 word, the subtitle had to endure at least for 1 second. And when an image changes, so should the subtitle. It means that if there is a break between 2 scenes, the subtitle should end when the first scene ends. So to respect that. I also want to talk to you about punctuation, but you have to be aware that punctuation is different in every language. So pay attention to the punctuation that you use in your own language. But here we can read some general rules. For instance, suspension points are used for hesitation or when a speaker has been interrupted. The hyphen is used in conversation to indicate that people are speaking. So we have 1 hyphen per person. The inverted commas are used for quotes, for instance, and italics are used for voices in off, for songs, and audio away from the scene of electronic devices. And if not needed, avoid also capital letters because they are heavy to read in subtitles. So these are the tips that I can share with you today. And before giving the word to Vinita, I want to answer to the question, why is it smart to add subtitles to your videos? We know that subtitles are used in cinema, but nowadays they are getting more and more important for ourselves. If we are sharing videos on YouTube, it's better if we add a transcription and subtitles to our video. This because nowadays most videos are watched without the sound. For instance, if we are surrounded by people and we are watching a video on Facebook, we don't watch it with the sound on, so we just read the subtitles. Also, subtitles make videos more accessible to a wider audience especially foreign language speakers and hard of hearing individuals. So we can reach more people if we add captions and subtitles. And last but not least, they boost your SEO because the search engine bots can index your captions and subtitles so that you can appear on Google, for instance, and be higher on the list. So yeah, I think that Vinita is going to talk about how to create subtitles on YouTube. Sir, your microphone is not activated.
So before I pass on to Vinita, I just wanted to check, are you also going to use any PowerPoint or something? Or can you update on this, please? Or you plan
Sir,
to?
I have shared with you. I have shared with you.
Okay. So you want the PowerPoint to be used, or you can manage without PowerPoint?
It will be helpful with the PowerPoint.
Okay, right. So while I bring a PowerPoint for you, let me, also try to now get in touch with our friends who are watching us before we enter into our activities. Vinita, with you. And the thing that my friends, our friend Margaret has explained about transcription as well as translation and subtitle. I have certain observations which I would like to share because see, fundamentals are that when we are doing transcription for audio video, many times you receive audio files which are very noisy in nature, and because of that, what happens, we face lots of problems, right? So in that situation, how we handle there, you have to have little bit of knowledge about sound engineering. There are certain softwares that help you control this problem. Means you can yourself edit the sound or the voice and increase the volume, decrease the volume, or make your voice whatever you have received better. So this makes your life little more easy. So you have to keep into consideration that as if you overlook or if you ignore this, you can face bigger problem while doing transcription, number one. And if your transcription is not accurate, and it has some policies or something missing, you can mess up with the translation and subsequently with the subtitle and captions. So there will be big loss. For example, while doing transcription, if you get a loss of 10%, in translation you will enter into loss of 20%, and in subtitling you will enter into loss of 30%. So there is a loss of information as well as the spirit, sense, tone, everything by 30%, and it can drastically decrease the quality of your subtitle. So this particular point must be taken into consideration when you are talking about this point, right? So now there is another point which I must tell you, and that is quality can also be controlled by, number one, by redoing it, rereading it, also by listening to your audio or watching your video in one go, number one, for the first time, so that you have control. You know the totality of the project, what you have to handle. If you do not control your project in your hand, you know, the way a driver drives, you know, car, and if driver does not know in totality, you know, how to handle accelerator, clutch, brake, etc., and what is the destination, a driver may, move in different directions, and the destination he or she will be able to reach, but it will be a painful experience. So when you are making a smooth drive, your focus should be there to understand what you are dealing, what subject you are dealing, what is the crux. Because suppose you receive any audio and you just start, and many times, you know, in even while doing interpretation, you realize that, you know, a person has talked for 15 minutes and it appears that he was talking in favor of a person, but in last one sentence he has changed the whole direction, you know, of the discourse. So in that kind of situation, you will run into a bigger trouble, and your transcription or your even translation will go haywire, you know. So you have to understand what subject you are dealing with, and for that it is always good to at least listen to it or watch it once in one go and then attempt it, right? So that's another trick. The third trick is avoid using direct translation word to word, as Margaret has explained, because many times if you do word to word translation, you will be able to produce funny transcription, number one, and at the same time you will also produce funny translation, and that will make more funny when it becomes subtitled. For example, let's say, you know, in various occasions, I have seen in movies also, I have also seen in videos on YouTube or Netflix also subtitles, which is very funny, you know. For example, let's say, you know, in Hindi there is you know, if you want to diminish someone, you know, make someone's stature small, we use in English we say, in Hindi we say chuhe ka bachcha. Chuha is a word, it means mouse, you know, child of a mouse, right? So now chuhe ka bachcha in Hindi, we understand what is the meaning of it. It means that, you know, he is a bloody small person, right? But if you translate this in English and say he is child of a mouse, do you feel it is going to give any sense to any English speaking person? Right? So, I mean, it will look so funny if somebody, you know, from England or somebody from Canada or somebody from English speaking country reads that, you know, transcription and says, yeah, this fellow is saying that you are a child of a mouse. You know, the sense, the locale, the culture, the social factor, everything, you know, gets finished by only using these three words. All your efforts of hours, you know, in transcribing or translating will make your translation or efforts funny. So it becomes very important for us to understand the locale and understand the culture, understand the you know, social aspect, connotation attached to it, you know. In India, we say, you know, I will give you another example. Every mother or a child, you know, every mother, you know, or father, you know, there was a time when everybody wanted his child to become Jawaharlal Nehru, right? So there is a saying in Hindi, Mera beta Jawahar hai. You know, my son is Jawahar, means my son is like a Jawaharlal Nehru or the first Prime Minister of India, or he is the one, you know, who is going to bring glory for the family. Now, if I translate that in English, my son is Jawaharlal, people who has not understood the Indian history, people who is not aware of, the importance of this expression in English world, or any part of world, or let's say in United States or even in England, people will find it funny because there is no story behind. Similarly, in Arab world, when I recall when there was Gulf War going on, many people, put their name of their sons as Saddam, because Saddam was a hero for them. But now, if we do translate, and people in Europe or in US consider this Saddam as, a terrorist or somebody who is the perpetrator of the peace, So there are a variety of cultural connotations involved. Similarly, I recall there was, many, international brands, when national brand, but when it tries to go global, it does lots of research on a brand name, in almost all major languages of the world. They do it in Hindi, they do it in Tamil, Telugu, Italian, French, German, Swahili, Arabic, and various forms of Arabic, or any language, possible. And then after doing lots of research, they decide that this particular name is the one which has no negative connotations involved. And that name becomes universal. So such kind of universal names we don't translate, But many times people start translating universal names also. And that makes it funny. Then if we do that, then there is no difference between you and the Google. Google also does the same. Even now, Google has started understanding those connotations, So you have to, apply your brain and sense there while doing translation of, these. And number two, when we are doing transcription, and especially when you know that it is going to be used for a video or a movie, please understand, once it gets integrated into the movie, after you have done your work and it goes into the movie and it goes live, and still there is a problem there, some spelling mistake, some problem of, punctuation, paragraph, half sentence or broken sentence, it becomes very, very difficult for the organizer or the owner of the project to control that damage. Because once, the re-rendering happens for any video of, let's say, for 10 minutes, again, if I want to redo it after correction, it is going to take at least 1 hour of mine or 2 hours of mine to make it run again after corrections, So it is a very tough task, my friend. So it is very critical to understand all these points. Number, there is another, point which I wanted to also point out at this point of time, because, our friends are watching us. And the additional point is clear-cut instructions you must follow. We will discuss the case study of the example of transcription that we have done today from all the three people. Few of them have done mistakes also, and it is good that mistake was done, because it becomes a case study for us, live case. And we'll tell you what is the problem, out of that, right? So with this, my friends, I would like to come back to our people who are watching us, and also talk to them and understand if they are following us, or if they are learning, or if there are anything they want to comment. And our friend Dr. K.K. Goswami is saying good explanation of socioculture aspect of translation. Abu is saying the most irritating thing while doing transcription is listening it several times. The native speakers speak very quickly, and they also use colloquial language. Right, Abu? That's I understand. Lakshman Singh is saying the information provided is very, very technical nature and quite useful. Right, thank you. Sangeeta is saying, hello, sir, warm regards. Okay, Mr. Rawat is saying very, very good evening. My friends, if you have any observations, now that you have already done some exercise today while trying to understand transcription as well as translation, and we will use it while doing transcription. I will also tell you how to control this, speed of the speaker. It's very easy, there are various tools now available. You can make your, audio player go slow. If somebody is speaking, in let's say 1 minute, one can speak 30 words and somebody can speak 100 words. So you can make your software run and force them to speak slowly. So this will make your life easy. There are certain tricks that comes into picture always. So my friends, if you have any questions, please share, here in live chat, and I will come back after we have discussed it with Vinita and Shubhangi and from our professor, and then we will take up your questions. Meanwhile, I'm going ahead with Vinita, Shubhangi, and Professor Kirat. Professor Kirat, do you have any observations to make on Margaret's presentation? Let me unmute you first. No. 1 minute. Hold on. Yes, yeah, please.
Yeah. So I said I want to congratulate her on the quality of her presentation, because everything was really very clear, and she referred to most of the issues and challenges, and she insisted on how to proceed. Of course, you completed her presentation by insisting, and this is what I wrote as a remark while she was presenting, translatability. There are culture, and Professor Ravi actually gave examples from the Hindi culture. But what about the culture of the language you are translating into? In order to be able to translate what is in a culture properly in another culture, you should be aware as well of the culture of the language you are translating into. Okay, and I have, if I am allowed, I would like to ask her a question, because just to see how she would address this. What about if you are not familiar with the topic you have to transcribe? You have no idea about it. How would you proceed? Because this is one of the main challenges that you may face. When you are familiar with the topic, it's really very easy. And if we'll follow the steps you have mentioned, everything will go well. But what about when the topic is really totally new to you? How would you proceed?
Well, it depends on the subject. Like if it's really, really new to me and it's important, like if it's about medical things, I think I won't accept the job because it wouldn't be fair. But if it's something linked to general culture, I know that I can do some research and I can talk with native speakers and also with Italians that work in that field. Actually, that's something that happened to me recently, because I had to write some subtitles for a video essay that is going to be shown during a festival. And it was a bit technical because it has some expressions linked to cinema. So I tried to stay in contact with the person who realized the video so that she could help me in understanding what she really meant. And I also contacted an Italian girl that I know who works for cinema. And she gave me her advice on things. And then I did a lot of research, yes.
So because, it will require more time from you, more time and energy, you see, so you will invest really a lot of time and so on. So this is a challenge you take. That's, but of course, it's always interesting as well to discover new topics and new subjects, because this will help you grow professionally. You will grow
Yes.
professionally. It will be difficult the first time, but then this is another field you are adding to your expertise or domains of things. Now, what about the videos? Sometimes in videos, there are parts that are not heard. How would you refer to this and how would you address this?
Well, I think that we can put them in italics, for instance, if we cannot really hear them. So yes, if sometimes, you know, we can see the face of a character, but maybe there is another one who is speaking. So also in that case, we can put subtitles in italics so that we know that the person who is speaking is not the one who is on the screen. But I think it can depend on, like, from country to country. There are different rules in every country, and also there can be difference for the company you're working for. So I think that they should always send you the rules that you have to follow in these cases, but I would put them in italics.
When you are translating from one language into another, as I mentioned, you should be aware of the culture of the language you are translating into.
Yes.
Now, to what extent when there are bad words, and if you are, you should, this is why I say you should be aware of the culture of the language you are translating into. What about if that word is a taboo in the culture of the language you are translating into? Are you going really to use the bad word? Because sometimes in some cultures, there is a lot of reservation about using bad words. Yeah.
Yes. I don't have particularly that problem, because I think that in Italy we love bad words. I don't know, so I wouldn't have a problem as an Italian translator. But if there is, like, for instance, I am translating books, literature, and in some books there is often the F word, and it becomes a bit redundant in Italian. So sometimes I don't translate it. It doesn't mean that I am betraying the original. It's just that in the translation, you should recreate the atmosphere of the original. And if putting a lot of F words into the target language sounds weird, then it means that you're not doing a great job. So you should just try to balance among the original and your culture. Yes. But I don't know what I would like if I should translate for a culture where there are taboos. I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, I'm thinking of my culture, for instance. I'm thinking of the culture where we have a lot of really taboo words that should not be used, and that, for instance, people would avoid to use. So this is why I'm speaking from my own background and my own culture. Of course, you are not aware of it, but there are plenty of words that are used, for instance, if we're translating from English into Arabic. I don't know to what extent that the translator will really maintain the thing, because from what I have seen, especially when the translation of or subtitling of some, for instance, Mexican series or Turkish series, we totally avoid and we use a softer word term.
Yes.
That is, it's a bad word, but it's softer than what it is in the original language. Just this is because this is very, very important for the people of a culture to see a very strong taboo word in a thing, and they will really themselves not accept it or react negatively to the thing and consider it as, yeah, okay. So very good job, Margaret, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. You are aware, you seem to, you have gained a lot of expertise, and you are doing a good job, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So great, Professor. I just wanted to add one point on this bad word thing, you know, as well as on research capabilities of the transcribers or translators or subtitlers. See, you know, as a translator, if you run away from the problem, you will never learn. So for example, if you have a subject matter on which you do not have control or command, the best thing is to ask for extra time from the client. And if possible, also ask for some extra money, giving technicality reasons. And it keeps you motivated. And after you get motivation, devote some time in learning, developing vocabulary, understanding concepts. And the more you do so, you become a good researcher, and that is what the role of the translator is. If you create a barrier, there are some people who run away from, such kind of efforts. And they say, that is not my domain. Then what the hell you are being hired for? Also many times clients do not understand, this domain expertise thing. They're not interested in knowing that, because they do not have that kind of knowledge or neither that level to understand how much pain it is to translate a document or prepare a document of quality, especially when there is a, technical or highly scientific, or suppose you have to do translation or transcription of two scientists, on a mission to moon, let's say, or something, which is very critical in nature. Suppose you were supposed to transcribe the talk between the two pilots who were going to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. That kind of a situation. What will happen? If you say no, you have lost a very good opportunity. You could have been a good known subtitler if you had done such kind of a work. No risk, no gain. So the only way out is to improve upon, develop your conceptual capabilities, do research, and get prepared, and seek assistance or involve the client, ask them as many questions as possible. And this way, what will happen? The client, you will get an opportunity to interact with the client. You will develop good rapport with them. They will say most of the time that this person is very serious. And that's why, this person is putting lots of efforts. Many times, if you don't doubt, ask any doubts to the client. Clients say, this fellow has no quality concern. I'm talking about human psychology from business point of view. So involve your client. You will cover your 50% of the risk, and rest 50% is left upon your intellect, and 5% is becomes risky zone, and that you can always take. But you should be very, very concerned, aware of what you are doing. Cooking, many times your best may not be good enough for the client. So be prepared for, feedback, and get ready to be, hearing some harsh words also. But if you don't do mistakes, you don't learn. So my opinion will be not to leave that unless it is very, very, really beyond your scope. You are purely from a literature background and you receive a, transcription to do a chemical formula and biotechnology or something very, very critical in nature. Then there you can say, that's not your area. But in general, where research capabilities are there, available, readily available materials are available, I believe you should take, take a call there. And second point, and that is on using bad words. I recall when I had been to Spain for the first time, I was believing that only Delhi people, speak foul language. And, they use mother, they use sister, they use father, they use brother. Everybody is fucked off every second. There are some people, I was just, in a few days back, there was one person in my locality. He was talking on a phone and I could listen to him talk for a minute, and he could have used at least 30 times bad language related to sister. And similar kind of situation I saw when I went to Madrid for the first time, and people walking on a street, professor in the classroom, anchor on television, even the parliamentarians in the parliament, they were using this language, very frequently without any hustles and bustles, as if, they were all in Hindi, where there is a, alankar, we use to make your language more beautiful. You add certain prefix and suffix, So that, foul language is being added deliberately to make your expression more beautiful, than showing your anger or frustration. So this kind of cultural, barrier one has to understand, and that happens only when you get into it, you have a feel of it, and go with that. So with this, my friend, let's move on to our next speaker. And but before that, I would come back again to our friends if there is something there can't be translated last time. It's very, very informative education session. Thank you, Lakshman ji. Prashant is saying gender identification and name entities are important. Prashant Verma is saying word ambiguities in Indian languages. Some words are very, very cultural and you find a lot of difficult to translate, right? Goswami ji is saying transcription is more difficult due to phonological problems. Right, you are right, sir. And Professor Goswami has produced a very good dictionary recently into Hindi, English. We have been lacking such technical expertise, especially in terms of this dictionary and terminology thing. And if you have a very good, data bank of terminology with connotations, with expressions, your translation becomes very easy. So my call or my advice to all people will be when you are involved into translation or transcription business, try to develop a data bank, of concepts as well as, terminologies with variety of domains. And this speeds up your work, makes your life easy, and translation becomes a very enjoyable experience, because it is very satisfying. You gain knowledge and you change knowledge of many. So with this, let's move on to our, speaker, Vinita. Vinita, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Vinita. So I am sharing your PPT. Let's see. This is how to add subtitles to your own videos, no? This is what it is, no?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I'm just sharing your PPT with all our friends. It will be helpful to others also. Here it is, Vinita. So my friend, let's welcome Vinita and listen to her, what she says, and understand how to add subtitle to videos, right? So Margaret has already covered, basics, but how to add it into YouTube, you will, Vinita will cover. Okay, Vinita, to you now.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. As Margaret has told everyone that how we can add the what is the subtitling and what is transcription. So now I will tell you about the how you can add your subtitling in your own video. So here you can see that the first step is you have to go to video manager. I have installed I have put a icon also in the second page here, and then after going to video manager, you have to select the video you want to edit. So it is the second step, and in the third step you have to click on the subtitles or CC. That is the from, you can do it from the type toolbar, which is at the top right corner. You have to select that, and after that you will go to uh, set language title to, if here you can add any of the language you want to edit. So here you can choose any language you want to do. By clicking on this, you can set your own languages. After that, you have to add subtitles and CC. And then in the language bar, you can select any language you want to choose. After that, you have to choose create new subtitles or CC. You can arrange your subtitles and CC wherever you want to take a pause, and you can do this in that way. Every sentence should have some pause, and then the caption should also be like that. And in each step, you have to just go on to the text box you have, which you will see it on the left corner. Sorry, it is in next slide. Yes, here you can see this one. In this text box, you will go and you can type also your subtitles, and then you have to click this blue button. After then, you can drag your captions wherever you want to do, and you can adjust how much you want to keep it in your screen. As Margaret has told that it should have some characters, then you should put it in that limit only. And after that, you have to click publish, and you have to do save changes. Then your uh, video and caption will be published. So that's all from my side. So now Shubhangi will tell about the other purposes of subtitling, like remuneration factors and time duration, companies, what do transcriptions, and such things. Shubhangi will tell.
Okay, thanks, Vinita. Here I will again add something very important. We will have, a full demo of this activity which Vinita has explained through PPT. I will give you a live demo of the content that you are preparing, which Margaret also has done, and Shubhangi has also prepared, and Vinita has also prepared. Margaret has prepared this content in Italian. Shubhangi has prepared this in German, and Vinita has prepared this in Hindi. And there are some good friends of ours who have done it in different languages. For example, Ritika in Chinese, Abu in Urdu and Arabic. Ashok is doing in French. Muskan is doing in Portuguese. Rasika is doing in Spanish. So we have 10 languages, to be done. And I will show you a smartest way of doing it. There are two ways of doing it. Either you do it by sentence, or you can do it in one go. And it is very easy. But this is uploading thing only, it has nothing, it is nothing to worry about. With that, I will show you. And I will also give you a demo through a software, how to do transcription using transcriber. Also, I will show you how to decrease the speed of any audio so that it becomes easy for you to write. If you do experiments, it becomes very easy for transcriber. It takes time to practice. That whatever you are listening, if you speak, here in the here and speak, and your machine will listen to you and do the typing for you. And for that, you have to teach your Google typewriter, or there are certain typing tools from speech to text. If you are smart enough, you will be able to speed up your work. Suppose if a work takes 1 hour to do, with technology you can finish that in half an hour. And if you are finishing in half an hour, you save half an hour, and still you will be very competitive with your price, and that will keep you busy. If you are competitive in the market and doing good quality work, I don't believe you will face any problem in having money in your hand. So let's understand the money part from Shubhangi. What is the price factor? What are the fees? How one charges? What is the price in India? What can be there in international market? Margaret is there. Dr. Kirat is also here. She can give some light on that. Okay. So let's listen to Shubhangi. And meanwhile, my friends, you can keep commenting about Vinita's activities that we have just listened to. And also, if you have something in your hand and you wanted to share or contribute, it will be great. So over to Shubhangi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. As sir has said, I would be talking about the business remuneration related to translation and subtitling. First of all, I would like to tell you what remuneration is. Remuneration is the payment received for services or employment. That includes the base salary and any other allowances during your employment, or your bonuses or other financial compensation. So remuneration basically means payment which you receive for your work. The factors that affect remuneration there are two types of factors, internal and external. The external factors means the market value and etc. The internal factor means first of all the employee, which includes whether the employee is has a seniority, experience, potential, and how much important the employee is for the company. That is the employee's value to the company. Whether it is also factored by the time he spent for the company, whether he is full-time employment, he's a full-time employee or part-time employee, or better remuneration to the employee who showed improved performances. And it also depends upon the job type, whether it is salaried versus hourly paid, whether the earnings are commission versus base pay, etc. The ideal time for the duration to do transcriptions, as Ravi sir has already discussed about it in one of his videos, he has provided us with the golden rule of 1 minute equals to 6 minutes transcription, which means the ideal time to do 1 minute of transcription should be 6 minutes. That you should be able to transcribe 1 minute of audio to the in 6 minutes. You just simply have to multiply the length of the video with 6 so as to get the total time consumption for any video, and accordingly you can charge. If you have a good typing speed, great listening skills, then you can transcribe 15 minutes audio file in 1 hour. And you decide your payment on how much time you are going to devote to a piece of audio. If you are transcribing and translating from a different language to another language, which means if you are transcribing a audio of, if you have a audio in Marathi or say Spanish, and if you are translating it into different language, say German or Hindi, then it means that you are having a good translation, and which means that you can increase your remuneration asking at the client. It increases the pay. Considering many online platforms which gives you opportunity to transcribe, it has been observed that you get around $15 to $30 per hour for transcription, which means around $5,000 to $9,000 per month, which is a good amount if you are trying to opt transcription as your profession. Companies that pays or companies or online platforms that are here present for transcriptions are Rave, Scribey, Transcribe Me, Speechpad, GoTranscript, etc. So if you are looking for a profession for transcribing, that you do not need to get hesitated. You get a handsome amount of remuneration for doing so. So you can have a good luck with that, depending upon your proficiency and potential. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Shubhangi. I just wanted to understand, from you as well as from our panelists, what do you feel is the best price per minute for audio transcription, number one, and from transcription to subtitling?
I think that would be best answered by Margaret, as she has a professional experience and I am just a second year bachelor student learning German. I would like Margaret to answer that first.
Okay, Margaret, tell me.
Yes, so I don't know the price for transcription because I have never done transcription before. So I guess it would be less than translating the subtitles. So I think that a fair amount would be around 15 euros per minute. But the truth is that it's not, it's hard to find someone who is willing to pay this amount of money. It depends on the company. If the company is Italian, you're going to be paid less. And there are some substandards that we should not accept, because there are also people that work for 2 euros per minute, but this is not fair for the work of the translator. So yes, I think that a good amount of money would be around 15 euros per minute.
15?
Yes.
For transcription?
No, for translating.
Translating, okay, right.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I understand now. So, I was just going through a variety of activities. Average, I have noticed that people say for transcription, international market I'm saying, domestic market, India, the price can be 1/3 of whatever international market price is. And that is $1 for 1 minute.
Okay.
For transcription, not translation. And in Indian context, it can be 20 rupees, it can be 10 rupees as well, because I do have some quotations from variety of transcribers. And if you are looking at good quality transcribers, they certainly charge better high price than others. But there are some transcribers who are doing quite well at a very good cost, and it is a competition. But for translation, let's say, let me show you, the transcription that has been done for today's audio, which I shared, or video I shared. I want to share this with you just to make you understand, how it was done, so that you will be able to understand, right? And the first thing that we have done is, we have with us our, I'm sharing the transcription that has been done by Margaret in Italian. Okay, so here I have, this is the transcription, of 2.24 minute or 2.27 minute video on our YouTube channel. I will show you that video also. It is about, a course. Can you hear? Can you see this video, on YouTube channel. It is our, the first video, introductory video on our channel.
I cannot see it.
Okay. Can you see this now?
You removed it. It was there and then you removed it.
Okay, so this is there. Okay. So this was the video, and I have also shared the audio file, and the translation has been, my instruction was to prepare the transcription first, right? So when I say prepare the transcription first, that means it was supposed to be transcribed in the language it has been done. For example, if I have shared a video in Hindi, you will first do the transcription in Hindi, right? Somebody may, directly do it into different languages, but that was not the instruction. So 2 of our interns have done it correctly, and that is Margaret and Shubhangi. But Vinita has not understood the instructions clearly, and instead of transcribing, she has translated without writing the English version. Generally, this kind of activity is done by experts. And if client is not in need of, the transcription, they are in need of the text in other language, they will accept it. But suppose client wanted you to first transcribe it in English, and you do not transcribe it because client wanted English version first. And once the English version is ready, client can approach other linguists, in other languages for transcription, suppose in Arabic. So if I'm talking in English and I wanted it to be done in Arabic, and the person whom I am sending it is not interested in transcription, he is only interested in translation. Not everybody has the capability of transcription, or they don't want to do it many times. So in order to facilitate a project, what will I need? I will need my project to be first transcribed in English and checked, controlled, quality, full, 100% proof, full proof. There are chances that transcriptor might have missed a sentence. And suppose I wanted to translate this particular document into, let's say, 20 languages. And if there is one mistake in transcription, it will be repeated by 20 people. And again, I have to look for 20 people to correct that. Now, do you understand the meaning of instructions, the importance of instructions? Now, do you understand the loss that a project manager can go through, the stress that a project management can go through just because there was one mistake and things were not done properly in the beginning? And if suppose you have done in Hindi directly, right? Somebody could do it in German directly. Somebody could do it in Tamil directly. But what if I wanted to get it cross-checked? What is the reference point? Audio file again. Do you feel the effort that you have done has been done in correct direction? Now you understand the problem. I don't have a reference file and you have done the translation. Who will check it? Suppose I wanted to send it to an editor. Editor may not know that this thing has been transcribed. It can be a dialogue as well, you know. It can be a part of a script also. You know, a movie script, a dialogue script, a drama script. So the editor, or many times, you know, other people involved in the project may not know that this thing is from an audio or from a video. If the transcription has been done correctly, if the language is very good, refined one, you know, it can lead to a very good script. So if you do not transcribe it first in English and you directly do it in Hindi or Tamil, there is a risk. You know, therefore, Vinita, I hope you understand, and I hope others also understand the importance of instructions. So if you get confused, it's always good to talk to the project manager and seek you know, clarification that you also need this in English. And of course, there is a fees involved for that. You should charge for it, you know. As we are doing exercise here, you can, I mean, I'm not in a position to pay you, you know, for 200 videos, but if it was a paid project, and if you are doing transcription, you will charge for transcription first, and then you will charge for translation, that is subtitling. Translation rate can be, in India, it is generally 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 250, depending upon language. Indian languages generally run on 1. Foreign languages can go from 2, 3, 4, 5, depends. Similarly, in international market, average translation cost can be $3 or 3 or 3.5 or 4. I'm saying, talking about lower side. Upper side can be up to 10 cents or 15 cents also, depends on the complexity and the nature of the project. So the transcription cost is per minute and translation cost is per word. Or many times, if there is a budget, you know, client can tell you, now I have this budget. If you can afford to do it, do it. Otherwise, I don't want it. If you are free, you accept it. You know. Then if you can afford to do the work at low cost or at that particular budget, go ahead. Generally, newcomers who have less experience, I will suggest them to go ahead. But if you are already loaded with lots of work, you can afford to reject the, politely refuse the project, saying that, you know, I already have too much of work, I will not be able to meet the deadline, etc., etc. So please assign it to somebody else. So this is one way of handling things, you know, my friends. And Margaret has already, you know, shown this. I will again come back with, you know, Margaret's, you know, transcription, just to indicate, you know, you all how to handle transcription. So audio file which was there, or video file which was there, you know, you see the time stamp here in the left side here. It starts from 1, 2, 3. Somebody asked me, what is the time? You know, there is one intern who asked me, do I have to write how much time I took to translate it or transcribe it? No, it is not. This time means the time of the conversation which is starting. It starts at 0, 0.5, 0.7, 10, 16, 20, 1 minute. So now, in 1 minute, see, 1 minute and 8 seconds, how many words are there, I tell you, for transcription, right? So if I just, you know, go by, you know, this word count of this document, in 1 minute, the text that we have in our hand is, I will just copy this text and put it somewhere else to understand the word count. It is in this particular page, it is not showing that correctly, but I will show you the another file. Okay, so there are 158 words in 1 minute. Okay. If we go by Indian standard, 1 minute transcription cost around 20 rupees, or I will say 1/3 of dollar, right? But when we go by translation, what there is 160 words could mean 160 rupees. That means how many cents? 3 cents, at least 2 cents, minimum 2 cents. So if you make an average, of the cost in Hindi, 1 minute transcription cost 30 rupees and translation cost, let's say 150 rupees, so 180 rupees. So in total, 2.5 cents, 3 cents, right? $3, not cents, $3. So $3 for a single minute. So if you have 1 hour, how many dollars? 60 into 3, $180, right? So this is the Indian cost. You can accordingly calculate in terms of, European cost. It will be much higher, right? So this is how the cost part is. Any other questions you have? Any doubts? Any observations before we close?
I wanted to add something about remuneration.
Yes, 1 minute,
Okay.
Margaret. Before I come back, let me ask our listeners if there's something. After completing my graduation, yes, Sangeeta, you can. You should join. Modlingua has lots of. Today, I received one project, inquiry which I have refused. They have around 500,000 words for transliteration. No translation, no transcription. Transliteration. For example, if Ravi is there, written in English, it should be written in Hindi. R-A-V-I, Ra, wo harsi ka Ravi. So that kind of project, we get lots of, because there are lots of names which needs to be transliterated. There are some similar kind of projects, there are some projects that comes into picture. Many times, these election commission or identity, commission, they try to prepare data of variety of people, across India or in a state, and they have already some data in English and they want to make it in Tamil or Telugu or Hindi. So they need to transliterate it. By computer, they cannot do it, so they need a human person. Such kind of projects are generally low cost project, although it is a volume high, but people tend to pay you less. But for doing experiment or for a scholarly activity, you can be part of it, learn and improve upon, and try for better projects, where there is high yield or high remuneration. So that is what it is, my friends. So with this, if you have more comments to make, my friends on YouTube channel viewers, it will be great to listen to you, and then pass on to last minutes to Margaret and our professor guest who is with us. Darshan is saying, could you please put down the list of website in the chat box? List of website for what? Modlingua.com is the best website. Go there. Modlingua.com is the best website currently for learning, for doing research, for understanding internship, etc., right? Yeah, Sangeeta, for doing transcription and translation activity, at least you should have command over 2 languages. One is your own native language and the other language in which you translate. And there is a big opportunity waiting, because, demand for content in variety of languages have increased, and it is not going to stop. It is in the boom situation. Even now, Reliance Jio has started, this Zoom kind of meeting again. So it is going to revolutionize another video conferencing phenomena across the globe, right? So we are sitting on, as I always say, in an explosion of opportunities, and let's make use of it, right? So now, before I close, I would like to come back again to our friend Margaret, who wanted to share some more information, and then we'll request our guest and mentor, Dr. Kirat, to come forward and give a closing remark, and we close for the day. So over to Margaret.
Yes, I just wanted to add that, as you said, the price of translation depends also on the languages you work with. So, for instance, since I work with English and French, it's cheaper than that if I was working with Japanese or Arabic, for instance.
Right.
And also, when I said 15 euros per minute, I meant when you do the translation of the subtitles as well as the timing. So when you do the old package, I just wanted to add this.
Right. So if you are doing stamping, timing, it takes more time, so the cost increases, right? So with this, let's come back to our friend Dr. Kirat. If you have something to share, your wisdom, please.
Yeah, thank you. In same direction Margaret went in. Actually, the more language, of course, is rare, because as Margaret mentioned, French, English, Spanish are available languages. But when you are dealing, and this is why actually learning other foreign languages that are not widely spread is a plus for you as for your job, actually. So if you offer translation into languages where there is not much offer, demand in the market, or offer, it's a matter of offer and demand. So if there aren't many people doing the task, you will have the opportunity to ask for the price. That the price will be higher than when there are plenty of people able, and there is a competition between the different people. So that's exactly one thing I wanted to say. And with respect to time, Shubhangi, am I saying her name correct?
Right.
Shubhangi?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So because you mentioned time and you calculate, and remember we referred earlier to difficult videos. So do you take this into consideration? This is a variable you should take into consideration when calculating the price, because we mentioned earlier that depending on the facility or the easiness of the task, you can ask a lower price, but when you know and you are aware that it will require more efforts and it's more difficult, then it is justified that you ask a higher price. With respect to Vinita, I think, well, we learn from our mistakes. She should not really, I think that we do not learn when we don't make mistakes. And when you make a mistake, you will not repeat the mistake another time. So I think that Vinita has learned the lesson and she will never fall in this mistake again. And one way actually to avoid not doing exactly what is required of you is to require that the people you are dealing with send you a written an email or a written document where you read it. It's not, you don't rely on a message or something on a call, but ask for an official written statement where they ask you exactly what you are supposed to do, because this is a way to protect yourself. Because at the end, when you submit the work, people can always negotiate the price again, telling you haven't done exactly what we have asked you to do. But when you have a written document, it's a kind of contract between you and the person asking you for the service. So keep this in mind. It's crucial, because you should not trust all people. Some people are sometimes not very honest. And after you have done the job, they try still to bargain and ask for the reduction of your price. So ask for a written document where everything is stipulated, where all the tasks are mentioned, and where the price itself is mentioned. And this is a great means for you to protect yourself and guarantee your rights. Okay, I hope I have been of help on this webinar. So thank you, Professor Kumar, yes. For this really leading experience. You are really empowering these young people. And I think that this is a great opportunity for so many people should really join, because providing and giving the opportunity for these young people to present their experience is the best way to empower them. And I'm sure that other young people will learn from their experience. So congratulations on the great job you're doing.
Thank you, Madam, for your nice words and sharing your wisdom. Yes, and that's very important, which she said, you know, that you should have at least the basic guideline about the project, number one, and the price and timeline, and the quality, you know, expected. If you go through our channel, we have done a good number of videos on quality control, project management, guidelines of how to handle projects, and how to avoid problems. You know, if you do not, if you are not very careful about all these points, you will run into big risk. And this happens especially when you are entering in the market. And suppose you run through such problems twice or thrice in the beginning itself, your morale will go down, you will feel very low, and you will run away from the business of language. Because there are many crooks around in India as well as in the global market. So, to protect yourself, the best thing is to prepare yourself. And prepare yourself with at least the basic guidelines from your client, price, timeline, remuneration, and the terms of the payment. How many days? Many times they tell you we'll pay you, but when? It is never mentioned. So that could mean 1 year, 6 months, 3 months. You, for 100 rupee project, you can give 100 calls and you lose your time, energy, and money, right? So these things should be clearly asked in the beginning before you accept the project. So this is our today's you know, take. And with this, my friend, before I close, I will go back again to our channel and see if there is some comments coming from our friends. I see Sangeeta is saying, apart from foreign languages, we should be versed with Indian languages as well. Yes, it's good to do so. Jogesh is saying, I am transcription professional. What are the opportunities? Tremendous. Sangeeta, please keep bringing more such content. Yes, Sangeeta, certainly we'll do that. But please subscribe to our channel as well. Bring more people, grow the community. The more people we have, the more appreciations we get, the more energy we get, you know. And Manas is saying, good evening to all. Thanks, Margaret, Vinita, and Shubhangi for excellent ideas of fundamentals of transcription and translation. Again, thanks to Modlingua. So with this, my friend, I will like to thank you again. Thanks to Margaret, Shubhangi, Vinita, as well as Madam Kirat for spending time with us. Hope to catch up again with you all, and bye-bye for the day.
Yeah. Good luck,
Thanks,
all of you. Good luck. Good luck.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank